Used to be here. You can see where the roof has collapsed. We used to have a little hall up here for doing lifeguarding courses, first aid courses. And yeah, it's just sad to see something that was built 50 years ago, just lasted 50 years to be in such a state of disrepair.
Hi Tim, yeah, so tell me what you did here at the Oasis.
So my name's Tim Clark. I used to work here as a lifeguard and in the back office. Worked for Swindon Borough Council for many a year, lifeguarding at all the sites. But being 50 years old and being born in 76, the Oasis was my go-to from childhood to when I stopped working for the council.
You said you were a lifeguard here and also you worked in the back office?
So yeah, I help the management team archiving documents. I'm a qualified leisure centre manager through the Institute of Sport and Recreation Management, and through the council, worked for GLL as well, worked at various sites around the country. And sports halls are one of the leisure industry's main incomes. So at the Oasis, obviously the pool was the iconic bit, but the sports hall was the income bringer. So we used to have concerts, boxing, comedy, roller skating, discos. Businesses used to hold their Christmas functions, dinner nights here. Used to have catering. Everything would bring people into this iconic venue of the Oasis. So behind the sports hall, comprised of a small hall, a main hall, gym, gymnastics area. So you had local gymnastics clubs as well based here, which again when I was about 7-8 years old I took part in. And it is such a shame to see it go to rack and ruin. And Severn Capital, Swindon Borough Council, the Labour Council of Swindon, you've let Swindon down drastically. And now obviously a court order's gone in that people can't enter the building for 3 months. It needs cleaning up, it needs taking care of.
So what was your reaction to the plans for the Oasis by Severn Capital to get rid of the hall?
Well, knowing that sports halls bring around 60 to 70% of the income into a leisure centre, I was like, why get rid of something that brings in the most income? You want to demolish it and build flats? Swindon's got plenty of housing now being built around, don't necessarily need it directly in the main centre. And now with the closure of John Murray, which is another iconic building in Swindon, that could be looked at turning flats. You've got other buildings in Swindon rather than this iconic leisure centre.
So Severn Capital one obviously knocked down the hall to put the football pitches here instead, and then they want to build flats around the back, and they obviously got rejected, so we'll have to see what happens with that. And then they want to rebuild the entrance area and put different levels up here with bowling and crazy golf and a small gym. What's your reaction to that?
So crazy golf and bowling are very 90s ideas. They're not new. New ideas to bring income are like paddle courts, which is paddle being a sport from, as we know from the Med areas, is now flooding not only Europe with courts, but is the latest sports to bring income. And there are some paddle courts being built in Swindon, but the leisure facilities for the general public, which the Oasis was before it was taken over and then run by GLL, is
It's iconic, isn't it?
It's iconic. It's a Publix it should be for the people of Swindon to be able to use. And it is just a shame. Bowling, Swindon has 2 main bowling alleys. Crazy Golf shut down.
Yeah, we've already got 2 main bowling alleys in Swindon. We've got the new Hollywood Bowl as well. So isn't there a risk that this place could close down again once they refurb the pool and they build Crazy Golf and bowling here?
So swimming pools only bring around 20% of income. So bowling alleys with 2 massive bowling alleys of, I think, both Hollywood Bowl and the other one over in West Swindon have 20 or 30 lane bowling alleys, which without building something impressive size-wise wouldn't cope for it.
And this was Wiltshire's biggest indoor sports hall as well.
Yep, so you look at this sports hall, it's an 8 badminton court size sports hall, same as was built at the Link Centre. Unfortunately, the Link Centre lost its sports hall to Better's gym, bouncing,
Trampoline,
extreme as it's called, it's trampoline park. They lost their sports hall, they lost a lot of income from that. Better thought, yeah, let's build a trampoline park and go from there. Yes, it built income to start with, but now trampoline parks are now starting to have their day. So to keep up with the modern trends within leisure, a sports hall that is multifunctional is the only way to bring good income.
So your experience of working here, obviously it was always packed with boxing and sporting clubs and all the rest of it, concerts and that kind of thing. That's why it was so good, wasn't it? Because it was multi-purpose. They could host so many variety of things here. What's your reaction to the new theatre that they want to build in the town centre?
So, obviously, looking at the Wyvern closure and then the demolish of Morrison's site in Regent Circus, that whole area of redevelopment for something in town that probably wouldn't be able to cope with transport network, whereas somewhere that's just on the outskirts of town that's walkable to the town centre, but you have good adequate car parking here for events, would be able to manage and cope with having music concerts and events. And if managed right, correctly, then we would have that iconic venue that we had all those years ago.
And then there's obviously, that's the problem, isn't it? Because obviously the Wyvern's coming to the end of its life, and obviously I understand obviously they need to build a new theatre venue, but wouldn't you say a theatre venue and a concert hall and a sports hall are all completely different things? And that was what was so great about the Oasis, it was multi-purpose. And
Yeah.
do you think that they should still build the new theatre in the town centre at the bus station, but they should also rebuild this as a multi-purpose hall for sports and concerts as well? Would you agree?
So I agree on that, Neil, and the sports hall should be a multifunctional for music, arts, theatre, productions, and should have that capability. The Wyvern closing, yes, every town needs a good quality theatre, as we've seen that theatres are coming back and making a comeback after COVID, and there's a different sort of atmosphere between going to a theatre to a concert venue. Look at the O2. That's a multi-purpose. Okay, it started out as the Millennium Dome, then became the O2, holds multi-thousands seater arenas for music, boxing, car launches, events. Okay, the Oasis isn't a 80,000 seater whatever, but we used to have, I think it's how the capacity,
2,000 people, wasn't it?
3,000 people, which easily brings a good income into businesses. So you had over the 50 years, I think over 3,500 music events, comedy events held here.
So would you say that we definitely need the rebuilt theatre to replace the Wyvern at the bus station, as well as a rebuilt multi-purpose hall here?
I think the theatre central to town is key, because the Wyvern Theatre was iconic as well, and the area around it, around Regent Circus. But theatre and concerts and multi-use facilities are completely separate.
Yeah.
Theatres can hold events that aren't necessarily plays, like movies, music, classical music, things like that. But a multifunction event like the Oasis Sports Hall was can hold things like boxing, sports events, basketball,
Comedy.
nights. I mean, I remember seeing Roy Chubby Brown here many years ago, which was absolutely hilarious back in the day. I've seen people like Fatboy Slim playing here in 2012, and obviously the iconic Oasis, who named themselves after this venue.
It's madness, isn't it? They don't see the value in this, and obviously Swindon's trying to go for the City of Culture in 2029. The Oasis is an essential part of that. It's a landmark, it's a tourist attraction. It just doesn't make any sense why the council's just prioritising flats over iconic sites like this.
No, I think that's where local governments need to look at what Sport England used to do, where Sport England back in the day always used to back places like this for major events.
Great. So obviously, what do you want to happen next now with all of this?
So definitely a consultation with Severn Capital on the reuse of the Oasis site and the sports hall, and showing that it can bring more income back into Swindon.
And do you believe their argument? They kept saying, "Oh, it's not viable. It's not viable." Obviously, they're going to say that, aren't they? Because they want the land for the housing. I mean, this place was here for 50 years successfully. It just wasn't maintained properly. So, what would you say to that?
Yeah, look at other sites that have said, "Oh yeah, we're
not
making money,
yeah.
we're viable." Leisure, the only way for leisure to be viable over the. I mean, I'm 50 years old. I've been in leisure since I was 16. So over 34 years of being in the leisure industry and having studied leisure, holding a leisure management degree, it just shows that something that was iconic as the Oasis needs to make that comeback and bring that business back into Swindon.
And put Swindon back on the map again.
Yeah, with being this city of culture, although we're not a city yet, the only way for a cultural city to become cultural is to get people coming from outside to the town.
And that's what the Oasis did, wasn't it? Like, there was people queuing up and down this slope.
Oh yeah, I remember queuing all the way up to the main road sometimes to go swimming at the Oasis.
And the concerts as well. And the concerts.
Yeah, concerts, music concerts. They would be queuing all the way around to what was Swindon College, which is now New College. And yeah, it's just amazing what we used to have here.
And now we're just fighting for the bare minimum to come back again.
And now it's a scrap between the council, Severn Capital, GLL don't want anything to do with it since the closure, even though they're managing all the rest of the facilities in the town.
And you've only got to look at the state of the Link Centre. I mean, there's obviously concerns about the Link Centre at the moment. That was only built to last 25 years and it's already at the end of its sort of life now. I mean, what are we going to do about that?
Yeah, so obviously we've seen the redevelopment of the Hydro, which again was a listed building. Link Centre now, again, the whole of West Swindon and Asda and all that area was only built to last 20-25 years, like most constructions that were built in the 80s for leisure. And the Link Centre is starting to suffer. And again, that then will need potentially knocking down and rebuilding. With the ice hockey team winning the league, they need a bigger venue. Where would you have a bigger ice rink built and place for people to go and use? So yeah.
So you'd say the whole leisure sort of offering in Swindon is a big mess at the moment, isn't it?
Leisure in Swindon, having come back to the area, is needs that complete overhaul. Needs potentially a new company to come in and run it. Leisure trusts, councils I think personally should retake back their leisure facilities and invest. But unfortunately, councils don't have the money to invest, and that's where private sectors have to step in. So,
And what's your thoughts on, finally, the Oasis has been shut 6 years this year. There's been no maintenance carried out in that time at all, and loads of people have been breaking in. What's your thoughts on the state of the place at the moment?
I mean, having seen some of the videos online, it is appalling that a company that's been brought in to maintain the business, even keeping it generally clean, is appalling. As a leisure centre, leisure attendants were always cleaning changing rooms, making sure the pool area was clean, and by letting it get into disrepair is causing a grade 2 listed building to become even worse, which means more money has to be pumped into it to make it safe and viable.
And it just plays into the argument with Severn Capital that it'll get to a point where they'll have to look at, they'll say it's not viable, they'll have to knock it down because they've just let it go and they haven't looked after it, have they? It's nearly 6 years.
No, so part of their contract was to upkeep and maintain the building, which they've not done, and the council need to hold them to account for this.
Thank you very much, Tim. Thank you.